You may know this technique. This is going to be a techniques tutorial, but for those of you that are not familiar with how to do your multi-strands on the bottom and either add chain or just do a single strand on top, this is a really cool technique, and we're going to be doing some wire wrapping, using some craft wire to accomplish this. So here's one that I made. It is so beautiful. I'll pull it up for you here. And as you can see, this one goes about 30 inches. And so this is 4 strands on the bottom. And then we have a cone, I have an accent bead, and then we've added the chain up on the top here, right? And then I just did a simple little dangle at the back here with a lobster clasp. So this turned out really, really pretty. So we're gonna do something similar to this right now. 4 pieces of your wire, whatever your desired length is, and then go ahead and, choose your beads, choose your pattern, and then go ahead and string up your beads. Now, when you finish each strand, you are going to use wire guardians. So I will show you. I'll pull all 4 of my strands up here, and I'm going to talk you through this little portion. All of my strands on both sides have wire guardians. My wire guardians are also in the antique gold. Now, you can also see that I kind of have a little bit of a mess up here. It's not perfect, and I just did a simple crimp. I didn't do anything fancy. I didn't use my magical crimp or anything, because all of this right here is going to get hidden in the bead cone, right? So when you are choosing your beads and stringing, I would recommend that you end the last like 3 or 4 beads on each strand, kind of like I did here on these, with some smaller beads that will fit up in your cone, okay? Because we also have the wire guardians. But this particular project is utilizing wire wrapping and the craft wire, so we're going to be using wire guardians. So you will string your strands, finish them all off with wire guardians. Make sure when you are stringing your strands that you take your first one and use it as a guide for the rest of your stringing. And try to get them all pretty close to the same length as you can. I did 16-inch strands again, and then I cut 4 4-inch pieces of chain, 2 of each color chain that I'm using, okay? And so once you've done that, now you're right where I am, and we'll go ahead and put this together, and I'll show you how to do this. Really, really cool. So you're going to go ahead and grab yourself some craft wire, and you probably, let me grab my nylon jaw here. You probably need, I'd say, give yourself like a 5-6-inch piece. Make sure it's nice and straight, because you want to have enough room to go wrap around on the bottom, get through our bead cone, add a focal bead, and then wrap up on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself probably, I don't know, that's probably about a 5-inch piece of wire. So we're just going to do a simple loop. Now, be very mindful on this first loop, because we want it to be small, because it needs, this first loop's purpose is we're going to be feeding the strands on and hiding it in the bead cone. So this first loop, we're going to want to make it as small as we can, but be mindful of how big your loop is to how many strands you have, that which obviously need to fit on the loop. So I want to make really, really small, but I know that I need around that much. So about to that portion of my plier, because I've got 4 strands here, and I've got to make sure I can get them all on. So once you put your right angle in, we're just going to wrap our wire around. We're going to do this normal loop that you've seen me do many times. Rotate your pliers. and then push that to the side. And now we have our loop, okay? So now what we're going to do is we are going to, taking our chain nose, and then open up your loop. And now we are going to feed our bead strands on. Now, you can do this any way you want. You can put them on randomly, or if you have a special order. I'm just gonna go ahead and put mine on kind of random. And then I'm gonna tell you in the next step why. Okay, so now we've got, this is what we have. We have all 4 of our strands that we've dropped down in that loop we made. And now we just need to bend that wire back over to close that loop up there. Okay, so this is what you have. Okay, you see that? And now all we need to do is just make a simple wrap, like basically 1, maybe in a quarter wrap, and make it really, really tight, because we need to make sure that this is going to go ahead and fit snugly underneath that bead cone. So I just went ahead and just wrapped that around one time. Okay, I'm gonna cut the rest of that off, and I'm not even gonna worry about actually even tucking that burr in. I'm not really the least bit, I mean, I'll tuck it a little here, but I'm not the least bit concerned about it, because again, this is all getting hidden under the bead cone. And so now I'm gonna pause there and show you this is what we have. Okay, so we've got all 4 of our strands on this piece of wire, and we have just turned that wrap around 1.5 times, basically just to secure that loop. That's all. That's all we are worried about, that they're secure on that loop and they're not going to fall off, which they're not. Okay? We're also using 20 gauge, so it's a very good gauge wire. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and feed on our bead cone. Okay, and this is what we have. Okay, and now I want to put that focal bead on. And so now that's what we have. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing we just did, make a simple loop, and we're going to add our chain right onto the loop. And so your wire wrapping right here, this is a design element, so you can make a big huge wrap or a small wrap. It's just a design element. So I'm just going to do probably just a small little wrap. So I'm going to bend my wire right there. And round nose, there we go. And then now I'm going to make a pretty small loop. So I'm going to put that right at the end of my pliers. Pull my wire forward, pivot my pliers, and then pull that wire around to the back. So now we have our loop. Okay, and now same thing we just did. We're going to open this loop up with our chain nose. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and feed the last link of our chain right down that wire. It'll drop in the loop, and I have 2 pieces of chain, so I'm going to feed both my chain on, both of my colors of chain. Okay, and they're just going to fall right down in that loop. And now we will grab our chain nose, and we will just press that loop back closed. So now that's what we have. The chain is now right there, and now we're going to go ahead and wrap this around and finish this portion off. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is go ahead and hold your chain nose right inside of with your loop, on top of your loop that we just made. Get your chain out of the way. And just like that. And now we're going to take this long wire and we're going to wrap around until we fill up that gap. And I'm going to do a nice clean wrap, but again, this is a design element, so you can do any kind of wrap you want. You can do a messy wrap, a clean wrap. It's just a total preference. I'm going to do a nice clean wrap, and I went around it, excuse me, I'm getting twisted in my words, twice. Okay, so now that's what I have, and now I am going to trim that wire off. Now we'll go ahead and make sure we tuck that burr in, because this will be up by the neck, and we definitely want to make sure that that does not poke anybody's skin or hurt anybody. So you do want to be mindful of that. So I'll stop right there and show you. Once again, this is what we have now. Okay? So we have now wire wrapped on the top and connected our chain right to that loop. And so everything from your beaded strands down here, all the way to your chain is now connected with one piece of wire. And it's all wire wrapped, so we know it's not coming apart. Pretty cool. And now all I have to do to finish this side is add a jump ring and a clasp. And so I'm going to see if I can use a 4mm jump ring, if I can get it through a clasp and two pieces of chain here. So I will take the last link of my chain, my gold chain, I'm going to feed it on that jump ring. I'll take the other piece of chain, the last link, feed it on the jump ring. I think we'll be good. And the bar part of my toggle, fed that right on that jump ring there, and I think we are going to be good. I think that's going to work with the 4mm. And go ahead and close up your jump ring. Just make that nice and secure. And make sure that that is nice and closed so that my chain doesn't fall off. Okay, I think we're good. And so now this is one completed side. So there you go. One completed side. Now, in order to complete the other side, the only difficult decision to make is about design. And it's just about how you want your strands to hang. So do you want your strands to just hang like that? Do you want to twist them? Do you want to braid them? It's just a complete preference of how you would like your necklace to look. And while I'm saying this, I will also mention that you can also cut all your strands, contrary to what I said earlier. You can actually do different lengths and do like a cascading effect. So you can do like a 14-inch strand, a 16, then an 18 and a 20-inch, and then you would have a really cool cascading, like a stacked cascading look on your necklace, right? So that's just a total design preference. So for me, what I'm gonna do is I am gonna go ahead and I am gonna twist mine all up. And so what I'm wanting to do is I want these crystals, this focal strand, it to kind of land on top. So I'm just going to basically lay this flat out here. And then I'm going to take this thin strand on my outside here with all these seed beads, and then this one with the bigger seeds and these interesting beads and the pearls. I'm just going to keep those two together. So I have 3 strands to braid, and then I'm going to just start literally braiding. And I'll just keep braiding until this looks the way I want it to look. And, again, guys, take your time. Don't rush it. This is the beauty of playing with our design aesthetic. If you aren't satisfied, take it. Like, oh, I don't like the way I just twisted or braided that up. Take your time. Don't rush it. And, have fun with your design. And, really enjoy, what you're doing, because that's what you're supposed, it's intended for. You're taking the time to make a big old multi-strand necklace, and it takes a lot of time, obviously, right, to string all these beads and all that. You want it to really take your time and kind of finagle with it and adjust it until you're happy with the way it looks. So this is what I have done. So you can see I'm holding mine here. I have braided mine to where I am very happy because of my crystals. They're kind of coming in and out. But most importantly is that focal right there. That is right there. And that's what I want. I want that to be right there at that center showing on the top. I think I got it right. Yeah, okay, so this is how mine's gonna look. So I'm happy with that. Okay, perfect. And so that's what we have on that finished edge on that side. And so let me pull that right way up for you. So now, how cool is this, you guys? So now we've got a finished product. And how cool is that with the double chain? And then we have the cool clasp in the back. You can even add some dangles on all that chain if you wanted to. You can do whatever you want. But I hope you guys enjoyed learning, if you didn't already know, how to put a cool spin on a multi-strand where you've got just the multi-strands on the bottom, and then where you have a focal bead, and you almost can't even see the wire wrapping on top of that gold bead. But it's so cool, guys, because it's so strong, and I'm so happy to pay this forward to you, and hopefully this inspires you guys if you don't already know how to do this particular technique, because, and I'll pull this one up too. This is really a professional finish, because this is not going anywhere. We have secured it with wire guardians, all of our strands, and then we have taken all those wire guardians and secured them with the entire rest of all of our components, all the way to our clasp. Everything is all on one continuous piece of wire. So it's a nice, secure finish. It's a professional finish. And it's nice and strong and durable. Because, of course, multi-strands, they weigh quite a good amount of weight. So anyway, so this is, let me put on the mannequin here, and let me just adjust you up just a little bit here. Sorry, guys. Oops. Let me adjust you up a little. There we go. Okay, so that's what we have. So that's what we made. Isn't that gorgeous? I'll pull it way up here for you so you can see what we did here. So all that's all hidden in the bead cones. Can't see any of it. You cannot tell what we did, but we know what we did. It looks so cool. And that double chain, and again, the mixed metals with the gold and the antique gold, it just offsets these creams and all this. It's just turned out so pretty. And then I'll put this one up for you on the mannequin as well. Same thing. This one is 30 inches, so it goes way, way longer. But same thing here. I'll pull that up for you. I did the exact same thing. Put all those strands up in there. We've got a nice little focal bead. I have a tiny little wire wrap on that one, and just a single piece of chain on a much longer version there.